Yeah, thank you very much, Stanley. So now, if you want to look at an organogram, what is an ideal organogram for a club?
Yeah, look, I mean, we could talk for hours about that. I've been lucky enough to travel around the world to 48 different countries, looking at their football infrastructure from national centres of excellence in France and the UK and America, Australia, at club level across Europe and up and down Africa, really doing an audit on clubs basically, and looking at how our club structured. Our club participated, my own personal club participated in a FIFA club audit just about 7 months ago. And when you run through that checklist of stuff, there's a lot of scope and variety for people to structure their own type of environment. But essentially, you're looking at 3 fundamental building blocks. The first one is the sporting infrastructure. So that's your technical team, whether it's your director of football, your technical director, your head coach, whatever your structure is. But around the team, from the technical team, the sports science and medical team, the physiotherapist, the doctor, the biokineticist, the podiatrist, the masseuse, a lot of these things most clubs up and down Africa don't employ. But these are the things that are needed in terms of having a professional type of sporting a unit that the players fall under, so that they can be looked after well. When they're injured, they get rehabilitated well. They get managed well in terms of their loading, their physical conditioning, and their general welfare. So that's the sporting side. Then there's the administrative side, which kind of supports that. But, your team management, your travel, your logistics, your registration with the league, your compliance with your league and your federation, your national team call-ups, the running of the club, the sorting out of the kit, the management of your kit inventory, the setting up of your supporter fan base, your human resource function, your financial management and legal management within the club, your chief executive officer and his team. That's the administrative engine. So your organogram needs to talk to that. So I would never come here and say, first you must have a board of directors, and then you must have a CEO, and then you must have an MD or a CFO or a COO. Titles and structures, sometimes they talk to you and sometimes they don't. In my club, I've got a very flat structure where titles mean nothing. My marketing manager also does event management. He also sometimes is a team manager, and when I need him, he's a driver. So, everybody does everything in the club. My head of operations, sometimes has to do things that are way out of where he is, especially during COVID. My data analyst, we haven't even touched on data analysis, but my data analyst at my club became my COVID officer because, he was the most suitable for the job. So, people have to be flexible. And so I don't buy into traditional organograms. I think you've got to get in the right people on the bus, and then whatever your job title you want to give them, as long as it fits in with your narrative. So you have to have a sporting element, you have to have an administrative element, and then there's the commercial element. Obviously also links to your lawyer and your tax and stuff, but I'm talking more about how to monetize the club, how to position the club for commercial success. If you have TV rights, you've got a good start. But if you don't have TV rights, so where do you find your money from? Traditionally, clubs will get their money in the following ways, if not from TV rights. They're going to get it from sponsorship of jersey or some element of sponsorship around their club. They're going to get it from gate receipts. They're going to get it from prize money. They're going to get it from sale of perimeter boards. And of course, if your league is running so unprofessional that you don't have perimeter boards, or your club's only putting 2 pop-up A-frames around the field and thinking that that's brand management, then you're not going to maximize commercial gain in that space. So perimeter boards have a value. In my games, I sell my perimeter boards for 1 million rand a board. So, to understand, if a club's allocated 14 boards out of the 36 boards, then it's very nice for me to know that I've got 14 million rand sitting there. because it's R1 million a board. As an example of commercialization. In Africa, we struggle with the merchandise element because our guys would prefer to buy on the black market a cheap knockoff version of the kit and pay $1 instead of $30. And so we don't generally make fortunes as African clubs selling replica jerseys as they do in other parts of the world. So that's a revenue stream that's a little bit lesser for us. And then, of course, what clubs get pushed into is when they don't have TV rights or sponsorship or gate receipts or prize money or perimeter board sales or merchandise money, then the money has to come from the owner, or you have to sell players. So now in many leagues in Africa, you can't even sell players because there's no viable transfer market. Because most of the clubs aren't sponsored, because there aren't TV rights. So, in that kind of environment, a person with his own resources, a man of means, a lady of means, an owner of means, would come in and own a club and be able to dominate. Because it's just about, if you look at league tables around the world, generally you can go and do the exercise afterwards yourself, take the top 7 leagues in the world, and then look at what they spend, and then do the league table. And you will see that there's a 70-80% correlation between spend and performance. Manchester City spend the most, Manchester City will win the league. Mamelodi Sundowns spend the most, Mamelodi Sundowns will win the league. Now, yes, you'll get every now and then a Leicester City or a surprise element, producing above its means. Financially, they may be 9th or 10th on the league table, but they're sitting 5th or 6th. So when you do that kind of exercise, then it's very easy for you to start seeing who are the overperforming managers, as an example. Which managers, or which recruitment policies, which clubs' structures. So when I look at that and I see the clubs that are punching above their weight in the world of finance, that's where I know that the intellectual capital is strong, because it means that they're doing things to keep them where they are, smarter than other people with more resources. And I think that's a big clue, and also a big up for young students and young people coming into sports, is that, at the end of the day, if you deliver, people want to have you around. Most of my staff that have been with me for between 15 and 20 years started as interns, started as volunteers, started as people that put their hands up and said, I just want to be involved in the club. And then they showed me that they were valuable and I couldn't afford to lose them. But today we have a culture where we want to get the rewards and benefits before we've even served, before we've even contributed, before we've even changed the landscape. Why must the club owner take $1 single out of his pocket and give it to you? That's what you have to ask yourself as a player, as a member of staff, as admin, as sporting, as commercial. When you're in any of those 3 blocks, you have to say, what value am I adding to this football club to make it a greater institution, a better organization? What am I bringing to the party that's changing the narrative of this football club or this story? And if your answers are very ordinary or non-existent, then you're probably just plodding along, and you're not going to make the leaps and strides that you might hope. But when you take on more and you do more for less, without looking at your watch every 5 minutes, wondering when you're going to get an increase, when you're going to get a promotion, when you're going to move to your next job because you're bored with this one. And that is a problem. Like I'm saying, obviously for me, I'm on the other end of the extreme. I've been 20 years with one football club. It's a very rare situation. It's not a common situation. But what's not nice in football at the moment is the culture that starts with the players and is now spreads around. That I go to a club, I'm there for 2 years or 3 years, I'm a free agent, I move to the next one and the next one and the next one. It's hard to build brands with constant movement like that. If I showcase a player and I'm spending money on putting him front and center as a brand ambassador for my club, but next year he's playing for my opposition, last year's marketing spend was spent on this year's opposition, if you think about it. So, that's the reality. If I'm spending and I'm putting my star player up, to get sponsorship, to do things, and he's my brand ambassador, and I spent valuable time and money and on his salary and investing in him and building him as a brand ambassador. But next year he's going to trot out for my fiercest opponent on the field of play. He's taking my sponsorship away. So you have to think very carefully about the way you construct your brand and the way you construct your storyboard in terms of how you build your club, your brand, and the individuals within it, because you need to have hooks on which to hang your marketing plan. If you want to say, where am I being involved with the community? Which brand ambassadors am I using to carry my message? What impact am I having in the community? How am I changing a life? How am I opening up an opportunity? How am I being relevant to my community, to the audience that I want to engage with my club, so that I can get more Twitter followers, so that I can get more Instagram? That gives the power to go to a sponsor and say, my club's got 200,000 followers, 300,000 followers, 400,000 followers. Not to say, if you give me money, I'll build the best Twitter following for you. And that's the culture in Africa, is to say, first give me money, and then I'm going to show you what I can do. No. Companies want to see what you could do without money, and when they see that, they know that you can fly with their money and they can give it to you with confidence. And that balance of, what comes first, the chicken or the egg. We think we can only make progress when we get money. But if we don't change that paradigm shift, if we don't find innovative ways of making an impact without the money and having a value system that's independent of money. If we don't have a value system, if you ask a club, why do you exist? Why are you here? Is it for the chairman's ego? Is it for a community? Is it to win things? Is it to sell players? Why have you got is it because the owner just loves the team, or his dad had the team, or what is it? And I don't think that many clubs in Africa answer the question, why are we here? What are we doing?